Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is What If Naruto Was Never Alone? The Day the Shinobi World Discovered His Harem Part 2. Alternative title: What If Naruto Started His Harem from the Very Beginning? My, oh my, how the Shinobi world has changed. And if you enjoy this fanfic, then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. What the fuck, bitch? You selfish asshole. I'm going to kill you. The hell's got your taco in a twist this time? You know exactly what you tried to do, Angel. Whoa, easy there, Toots. I was trying to do my girl buddy a solid. Ain't that what this hotel was made to do? To help others in need. Not with turf wars that result in territorial genocide. Huda Cabron. Hey, keep that fucking spear away from my cheeks, those are my money makers. You should have thought of that before sneaking out of the hotel. Twang. Asterisk. Naruto had just walked in when all the commotion started, surprised at the freshly thrown spear dug into the wall just a few inches from his head. He blinked before turning his head at the current squabble in front of him between Angel and Veggie, who froze at the intrusion of their argument. Quote. I was never here. The whiskered blonde replied with an uneasy tone. Carry on, then, he finished, much to the pornstar's horror and Veggie's delight. Within the last 10 years, he and the others had been frugal and shrewd with their money. Gone were the ruined furniture of old and replaced with newer ones of better quality, the walls, ceiling and floor themselves refurbished to pristine condition. Each individual room was catered over to the bare basics, allowing any incoming tenants to add their own decorations and flair so as to feel more at home. The windows had been cleaned and maintained, the doors practically redone. Naruto. He heard Charlie's voice call out from upstairs, I sorta need your help with something. Do you think you can come up here, really quick? Yeah, be right there, Charlie. Making his way up towards a specific room, the former shinobi let out a tired yawn as he reached for the doorknob, only for the door itself to fly open and himself being dragged into the room. The door slammed shut, and Naruto only realized something was wrong when he felt arms wrapped around his front. Whoa, babe, I thought you needed. Naruto was cut off when he started to hear the quiet sobs against his back. Charlie, what's wrong? The blonde sinner asked her softly. The Princess of Hell feverishly kept her hold on him a few moments more before turning her head up to look at him, tears trailing down her cheeks. Quote. Am I doing the right thing? Naruto stiffened for a moment before turning around to embrace the blonde princess, his left hand rubbing her back in a soothing manner. What brought this up? Is everything all right? Sniff. Well, don't get me wrong. I'm grateful that you and Veggie are going all in. Charlie was hushed to silence when Naruto held a finger to her lips. Charlie, we'd be all too happy to do it again. You know this, the whiskered sinner reassured as he rubbed her cheek with his thumb, wiping away her tears. Now what's really wrong? Charlie hesitated for a few moments before letting out a sigh. But what if we fail, Naruto? What if all of this was for nothing in the end? The Princess of Hell muttered as she rested her head into Naruto's chest. I don't want everything we've built up for the last 10 years to go to waste. And it won't. Besides, so what if we fail? That just means we learn from our mistakes, and try again. The blonde sinner spoke. If I gave up because I was afraid of failing, I'd never get anywhere, Charlie. And if I am? She asked her voice trembling albeit with a shaky smile. Babe, it's okay to be afraid of anything. But to really work for what you want, sometimes all you need is a leap of faith. Inching her face closer to his, she whispered, will you catch me if I fall? And help you back on your feet. Their noses brushed now. Stay with me. Now and always. Their lips brushed together, then inched closer still. For Charlie, she was always a bit of a romantic at heart. The first time the cheerful princess had felt this way was when she had dated Leviathan von Eldritch, many years ago. They only got as far as barely past holding hands and embracing before the spark she felt had faded away. It wasn't so much of a loss on her part, reason being that Leviathan revealed to her that he was an arrow ace. Thus the two had separated on amicable terms, but remained good friends alongside his parents. His sister, Helsa, beheld a bitter rivalry with the Princess of Hell and would most likely do so until her final days. With Naruto, however, Charlie purred with delight as she melted into the kiss, her arms circling around the whiskered blonde's neck as he tightly hugged her waist. She always overindulged in his kisses just as much as Veggie did. His skin was hard, toned by his many years of combat and warm as toasty hellfire. The former shinobi's arms made her feel safe, like she was wrapped in the world's coziest cocoon and never wanted to leave. Sometimes just seeing his strong, confident smile was more than enough to wash all her worries away. In contrast, Naruto savored her lips in a delicious blend of black cherry and vanilla. The enticing scent of cinnamon and apples from her hair filled his nostrils with delight as he held her close, the princess's slender form snugly fitting against his. But it was her soul that captivated him the most. The bright, shining ball of hope nestled within her that wanted to see the best of their world beneath its depraved chaotic exterior. Her laughter, bubbly and sweet, would leave him weak in the knees when he'd least expect it. But what he should have expected was moan, Naruto, hum, grope, asterisk. The whiskered blonde's eyes widened as he felt a slender hand start to fondle the front of his quickly tightening shorts, fingers tracing a visible bulge. Looking up, he came face to face with mischievous white eyes in a sea of blood and beholden with traces of lustful temptations. He knew that look. Charlie. Naruto stammered through tense gritted teeth. "HM." You know. The bubbly princess cooed in a sensual tone. "I'm getting a bit hungry. Can you give me a nice, tasty dessert? Hopefully one with a thick cream filling." "Oh, unholy fuck, not again." He whimpered as Charlie used a bit of her magic to undo the first few buttons of her shirt, revealing a good portion of her modest cleavage for his eyes to feast on. Her horns grew more prominent as she licked her lips hungrily, her purring sounding more and more audible. "I barely survived last time." Charlie Morningstar was in what the former shinobi could only summarize as the mood. Doesn't happen very often with her, but when it does, Naruto Uzumaki would rather be fighting a near-omnipotent god in a gridlocked deathmatch than to be victim to whatever carnal depravity his girlfriend wanted to subject him to, if only because he knew that he wouldn't be able to say no. Hey, babe, you know, why you must really be feeling exhausted from today. Come on, let's get you to bed." "Great idea, womp, asterisk." The poor sinner yelped in surprise as he found himself pinned onto the bed with his back against the covers. Before he could think about moving, Charlie straddled his waist as she leaned her body over his, the aroma of her steadily growing pheromones invading his senses, causing him to grab a hold of her swaying hips grinding slowly on top of his own. Now, my big strong foxy coon." Naruto shivered. A part of him regretted teaching her some of the customs from his homeland, as the normally bubbly princess softly let loose a deep lusty growl in his ear before playfully biting the lobe. "This vixen is in need of a good time. And I know you've been hiding such a fat juicy eclair. Won't you give it to me?" She finished while unzipping his shorts. Maybe later, babe. I think I can hear Veggie calling for help again. You know how she can get." The whiskered blonde tried to reason, only for his breathing to hitch as her fingers started to rummage through the open flap of his boxers. "Oh, goody, it's been a while since we had a proper ménage à trois. Charlie grabbed a hold of her prize and started rubbing it slowly, feeling him begin to thicken from the attention. On second thought, I think I'll just help myself to my favorite little treat. Right, fucking, now, oh god, somebody help me. Naruto all but screamed within his head. Ding dong, asterisk. The pair froze as they heard the sound of a doorbell. While they were both surprised, Naruto also saw it as an opportunity to escape. Oh will you look at that sounds like somebody a Suthdora better go down there and greet them sorry babe talk to you later I love you be. And then the former shinobi freed himself from his entrapment before zooming down the stairs. Whereas the Princess of Hell blinked in confusion as her personality reverted back to normal, her more demonic traits receding before realization dawned on her. Oh no, did I scare him off again? Naruto, wait I'm sorry. Charlie shouted before running after him. Gangway, Naruto cried out as he raced down the steps, alerting both Veggie and Angel to his presence. Reaching the door, he opened it wide to reveal. Greetings, my Vulpine friend. What a lovely evening we're having, isn't it? A rather old-timey radio voice announced. The person standing at the door was a slim, dapper male sinner demon with beige-colored skin, and a broad smile full of sharp, yellow teeth. Standing at around 7 feet tall, he stood a bit taller than Naruto, who stood at a moderate 6'5". His hair was of a pinkish-red cropped, angled bob cut with black tips at the ends and 2 large, black-tipped tufts of hair extending from the top of his head, evoking the ears of a deer. The style has an undercut at the back, and 2 small black antlers protruding from the crown. The newcomer's eyes were of dark red sclera, bright red irises and thin black pupils. His forearms and lower legs faded to dark gray, eventually ending in red-tipped fingers. His attire consisted of a red pinstripe coat with dark red lapels piped with white, which is ragged along the bottom hem. Underneath this was a bright red dress shirt with a black cross on the chest, and long black dress pants with matching bright red cuffs. Finally, on the right side of his face was a dark red oval-shaped monocle rimmed with black, just over the eye. The accessories completing the ensemble were a black knotted bow tie with a bright red center, black gloves with red at the fingertips, black pointed toe boots, and finally a thin cane with a vintage-style microphone attached to it. Naruto blinked at the sinner's words dumbfoundedly. Oh, hello there, slam, asterisk, sigh, great, just what I needed to deal with today. The fucking radio demon and all his bullshit right outside the door. This oughta be good, he grumbled to himself. Knock, 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 asterisk. Opening the door again to see the sinner still standing there, the whiskered blonde narrowed his eyes in begrudged annoyance. May I speak now? Quote. You can start with telling me just what the fuck are you doing here? Oh, how you wound me, Ninetails. I just so happened to hear that you were in the neighborhood, and thought I'd stop by for a visit. The radio demon explained, his smile never wavering. HMPH. Hate to break it to ya, pal, but I'm afraid you've wasted your time. Naruto huffed out. There's no entertainment for you here. Tisk tisk tisk. Come now, is that any way to greet an old friend? The taller demon chastised, shaking his head at the perceived rudeness. 1. You're no friend of mine. And 2. There are many reasons as to why'd you show up here. The whiskered blonde snarled, causing the other sinner to narrow his eyes at the challenge. And none of them are good. Now then, Smiles, it'd be best if you were to turn around and stay off the property before I. Hey, Naruto. The former shinobi's eyes widened as he heard Charlie walking up behind him. Who's at the door? Before the blonde sinner could respond to her question, the red-dressed newcomer maneuvered his way past the former shinobi and held out his hand. Alistair, pleasure to be meeting you, sweetheart, quite a pleasure. As he spoke the red demon, Alistair, shook her hand before opting to let himself in the corridor. Excuse my sudden visit, but I saw both your spotlights in the picture show. And I just couldn't resist. What a performance. Waving his hands in the air, he continued. Why, I haven't been that entertained since the stock market crash of 1929. Laughs. Ah, so many orphans. Stop right there. Even Naruto had to blink at the sight of Veggie threatening Alistair with her spear. While the whiskered blonde applauded the attempt, he knew that it would have done absolutely nothing to deter an overlord of his standing. I know your game, the fallen angel growled out between her teeth, and I'm not gonna let you hurt anyone here. You pompous, cheesy, talk show shitlord. Finding her bravado amusing, the radio demon chuckled as he pushed the tip of her spear aside with a finger. Dearie, if I wanted to hurt anyone here, then you'd answer to me, Alistair. The former shinobi retorted with a threat of his own, arms crossed in front of himself. And we both know how that would end. Is that so, fishcake? Just try it, Bambi. Turning around with a smile on his face, Alistair glared at Naruto, who had matched it with his own. The interior of the room darkened as their respective powers flared, one a deep bloody red with static and hints of voodoo Vive symbols, the other a bright burning gold with orange wisps of energy and multiple kanji. From their demonic power shapes started to emerge until a red demonic stag with sharp dagger-like horns gave a furious bellow at a snarling orange fox with 9 long tails lashing violently in the air. Charlie was nervous, whereas Veggie froze from the sheer excruciating pressure of killing intent. Hey, what's with the strawberry pimp? Angel Dust, who had finally bothered to come out and see the commotion, was the only one with the gall to ask such a question. Naruto snorted at the porn star's comment, causing Veggie's mouth to slightly twitch upwards and for Charlie to turn around to chastise the sole tenant of the hotel. Angel, that's not a very nice thing to say about a new guest. Newsflash, we're in hell, I don't think he's gonna fucking care what I think, toots. The spider-like sinner responded. Unnecessary commentary aside, the radio demon spoke up, reverting his show of power in favor of reason. I'm here because I want to help. Say what, now, help, Alistair repeated with a laugh, tapping the microphone on his cane. Hello, is this thing on? Testing. And I appeared on the microphone itself before replying. Well, I heard you loud and clear. Naruto traced his gaze over the others before he spoke. Well, I call bullshit. Unsure of what was going on, Charlie spoke to the Red Sinner. You want to help with this ridiculous thing you're trying to do. This hotel, I want to help you run it. The radio demon answered as he suddenly appeared behind them. Boot. Why? The princess asked. Ha ha ha. Why does anyone do anything? The overlord went on. Sheer, absolute boredom. I've lacked inspiration for decades. My work became mundane, lacking focus. Here he leaned his arm atop Veggie's head before pushing her away. The poor white-haired woman would crashed into something if not for Naruto catching her mid-fall, getting an appreciative look from her. Anyways, I've come to crave a new form of entertainment, ha ha ha. The whiskered blonde huffed in irritation. Figures you'd be bored out of your fucking mind, reindeer games. And here I thought everything's just entertainment for you, isn't it? Oh, but it's the purest kind, my friend. Reality. True passion. Alistair exclaimed with gusto. After all, the world is a stage. And a stage is a form of entertainment. So, does this mean that you think it's possible to rehabilitate a demon? The optimistic princess asked him with a smile. Laughs. Of course not. That's wacky nonsense. Only for Alistair to brush her off with a wave of his hand. Redemption. Oh, the non-existent humanity. No. I don't think that there's anything left that could save such loathsome sinners. Taking a moment to gesture to Naruto and Angel Dust, who only glared and shrugged their shoulders respectively, the radio demon raised his hands towards the main lobby of the hotel. The chance given was the life they lived before, the punishment is this. There is no undoing what is done. Nice fancy words and all, but I still say you're wasting your time. Naruto retorted, getting Alistair to side-eye a slight glare at the interruption. Naruto, please, Charlie reasoned, causing the whiskered blonde to relent for now. Damn it, Charlie, you should know better than this. Alistair's bad news, the kind we want as far away from this place as possible, he thought. So then, why do you want to help me if you don't believe in my cause? She asked the Overlord, whose eyes began to glow an eerie red at her attention. Consider it an investment of ongoing entertainment for myself. The red-clad sinner replied as he suddenly spun Charlie around as though they were dancing. I want to watch the scum of the world struggle to climb up the hill of betterment. Only to repeatedly trip, and tumble down into the fiery pit of failure. Reet. The princess stressed out as she stepped away from the radio demon's eccentricity. Yes, indeed why, I see great things headed your way, and who better to help you than I? Alistair commented as he led Charlie towards one part of the lobby, leaving the others by themselves. So, Angel Dust started, what's the deal with smiles, over there? Vaggie looked at the gay porn star as though he'd grown a second head. Wait, you've never heard of him before. You've been here longer than me. When the spider-like sinner shrugged his shoulders in reply, Naruto voiced in. Vags, Angel's not the sort to get into demon politics, not his style. You know that. Getting her attention, the whiskered blonde gave her a reassuring smile. Care to fill him in? Watching the former exorcist explain Alistair's origins to Angel Dust, the whiskered blonde then began to contemplate as to why the radio demon would even bother helping them out. Obviously, the red deer-like sinner was an outright manipulative sadist who finds the suffering of others enjoyable. But for some reason, that thought didn't sit right with him. Alistair might say that he's doing this for his own entertainment, but I know something doesn't make sense. The man goes missing for little over 7 years, and suddenly he shows up at our doorstep out of the blue to help our cause. Bullshit. No way that motherfucker's doing this just because he's bored, he wants something. But what? Okay. Charlie suddenly shouted with an outburst, getting Naruto's attention. Apparently he must have been very deep in thought, because Vaggie was now standing close to where Charlie was and Angel Dust was sitting alone at the nearby bar. So, Al, you're sketchy as fuck, and you clearly see what I'm trying to do here as a joke. Taking a deep breath, she continued. But I don't. I think that everyone deserves a chance to prove they can be better. So, I'm taking your offer to help, on the condition that there be no trickster, voodoo strings attached. The princess finished in a hurried tone. So it's a deal, then. Naruto saw the red flags even before Alistair held out his hand for Charlie to shake. Ominous green light filled the room as Vaggie and Angel Dust were seemingly pushed back by a sudden gust of wind. Only the former shinobi himself was unaffected by the radio demon's show of power. So that's the power of a dealmaker, he thought. The whiskered blonde was about to intervene on the princess's behalf, when suddenly. Nope. Charlie shot her hands out in front of her, refusing to shake the overlord hand. No shaking, no deals. The bubbly blonde hesitated for but a moment as she turned away from Alistair. Only to immediately turn back to face him. As Princess of Hell, and heir to the throne, she started, I hereby order that you help with this hotel. For as long as you desire. After a moment had passed, she concluded with a question. Sound fair? Single quote. God damn it, Charlie, Naruto vented internally as he looked on at the interaction. No way that'd work. Fair enough, Alistair replied, shrugging his shoulders as he proceeded to take a look around the interior of the hotel. He stopped at Vaggie first, whose glare only worsened as he scratched underneath her chin. Smile, my dear, you know you're never fully dressed without one, the radio demon commented before walking back to Charlie. So where is your hotel staff? Upon hearing his question, the bubbly princess merely gestured to both Naruto and Vaggie, sporting an impassive gaze and pointed stare respectively. Oh ho ho ho, you're going to need more than that. Finally walking towards Angel Dust, Alistair asked, and what can you do, my effeminate fellow? I can suck you, the porn star replied, static. No, your loss. Pacing back to the middle of the lobby, the overlord rang out his opinion. Well, this just won't do. I suppose I can cash in a few favors to liven things up. With a snap of his fingers, flames shot out of a nearby fireplace before a silhouette of some kind of small-statured demon fell into the pile of firewood. Walking over to the ash-covered demon, Alistair reached into and pulled out the figure, only for it to open its large round eye and shake off the soot in mere moments. It was a small, female Cyclops sinner demon with pointed limbs, white skin. Her eye sports a light yellow iris, thick eyelashes, a hot pink sclera with a yellow gradient, and a large pie-eye-cut pupil. When feeling homicidal, her pupil shrinks and her eye gains black veins. Her red-pink hair is kept into a slightly messy bob cut with a curl on each side, and a single light yellow streak located at the top. Her mouth filled with sharp light pale yellow teeth inside and black lips, and small hot pink dots on each of the corners. Her clothing of choice were a black neckerchief around her neck, and a 1950s red-pink maid dress under a white apron with 3 hot pink dripping splotches. She also wore long black gloves which covers most of her hands and arms, along with matching colored tights. This little darlin' is nifty, the radio demon announces as he let go of the new arrival. Hi, I'm Nifty. It's nice to meet you, Nifty greeted as she looked at the others. It's been a while since I made new friends. Giggle. Asterisk. Why are you all women? Ooh, it's Ninetails. Was Naruto's intelligent reply before he found himself being climbed over by the small sinner. Oh, hey there, I heard you killed 200 exorcists on your first day here. Such a naughty boy. Great, she's one of those. The whiskered blonde grumbled to himself before a thought occurred to him. Nifty, right, listen. Do you think you can do something about the cobwebs? We keep getting a constant bug problem at the hotel. Gasp. Oh my gosh, that's awful. Right away, Mr. Ninetails, sir. And just like that the tiny demon scurried off throughout the hotel, feather duster in hand. Satisfied to have kept the possible yandere busy, the former shinobi was about to talk with Charlie when a sudden green light shot from where the bar was. Read 'em and weep, boys. A raspy, growling voice could be heard, catching all the hotel residents by surprise. But only Naruto had a smirk on his face. Holy shit, I know that voice, the whiskered blonde thought as he saw who it was. Standing at a table with cards, chips, and stacks of money was an anthropomorphic avian cat demon. The sclera of his eyes being pitch black, with light yellow irises and slit pupils. He has large and lengthy, red feather-like eyebrows with black vertical stripes near the tips, and a small black heart above each eyebrow. His fur is a dark taupe, overlaid with white on his face, torso, feet, and upper arms. The insides of his ears are white with a red tip at the point and red heart in the center. A black tuft of fluff protrudes from each, creating the appearance of small hearts. There was a darker shade of his fur encircling his ankles, mimicking cuffs on a set of pants. His tail is long and dark taupe-colored, ending with a large spray of plume-like feathers which are a vivid red with black and white stripes. He has heart-shaped, light yellow paw pads underneath the paws on his hands and feet. His wings are large and red, with darker taupe on the undersides. The undersides of his wings are decorated with black stripes which feature red and white roulette wheel dot markings. The outside of his wings are decorated with more black stripes, which wrap around the joints and run around a row of white roulette wheel dots. The cat-like demon wore simple, minimal clothing, which consists of a black top hat with a red band and a gold button-like decoration, a red bow tie around his neck, and a set of black trousers which are held by black suspenders over his shoulders. His look was evocative of a magician, paired with a casino referencing playing card theme. Full whoa! The sinner exclaimed as his surroundings began to distort before noticing his new location. The hell? What the fuck is this? Feeling a familiar presence, he turned around only to see you. Ah, Husker, my good friend. Glad you could make it. Don't you? Husker, me, you son of a bitch. I was about to win the whole damn pot. Husk gestured to the pile of money, expecting it to fade away, only to be surprised when it stayed there as he grabbed a hold of it. Huh, thought for sure it'd disappear with some kind of bullshit. Thought I'd help you with your troubles, ya stupid mangy cat. Naruto laughed out with a smirk, a glowing orange demonic pentagram hovering over his left palm. The gambling sinner blinked at those words before turning to face the speaker with a grin slowly growing on his face. Well, I'll be motherfucking damned. Husk muttered to himself. When he saw who it was, he broke out in a hoarse guffaw. Why, you little shit, now I'm gonna fucking owe you for this. Forget about it. How've ya been, Husk? Long time, no see. Alistair did not show any indication that he was disturbed by the interruption. I take it you two are already acquainted? He asked. What? The former shinobi replied, only to blink as he processed the question. Yeah, I guess you could say that. 5 years ago I was racking up wins at one of the local clubs, and Husk here was my last opponent. Bull fucking shit, and you know it, Fox. The cat-like demon butted in. It was a 3-way game of high-stakes liar's dice at Mammon's Wild Card Casino, and you were playing against both me and Davy Jones. Didn't you jump in when it was starting to get good? Always thought curiosity killed the cat. Naruto sharply quipped with a smile. Ha, I was getting tired of watching you rake in that giant pot of cash after clearing out 15 tables. Jones himself challenged you and raised the stakes by breaking out 700 billion in gold bars, and then I chipped in my bet. The gambler heckled back, waving his arms in exaggeration. I swear to God that you must have had Lady Luck herself. You're real nice for you to win that game. Yeah, so you've got an eye for talent. That sleight of hand still just wasn't enough for you to beat me, Husk. So what if old Squidlips didn't like that he lost? Doesn't change the fact that he made the bet. Should have known better than to play with fire. Fuck off, at least I got out in one piece. Jones looked like fried calamari after you were done with him. Hey, the blonde sinner retorted. I only take credit for what I've done personally. Not my fault he started that fight. And all I did was bring home the cash and the gold. While we burned the place to the ground. Naruto and Husk finished together before they broke down into hysterics. Oh, you're fucking with me. Angel burst out with laughter. I remember watching it on the news. The whole damn place burnt to the ground, 'cause of some out-of-hand brawl. Jesus, Foxy, that was you. The porn star had to take in a deep breath of air from laughing so hard. Shit, Val was planning to play there in a few days. Fucking pissed him off when he heard what happened. Did Angel think that the avian feline was his type and wanted to constantly tease Husk? Yes. Was he passing that up in favor of a good story? Also yes. Angel, How did you not remember seeing him walk into the hotel lobby with a sack full of cash and gold? He literally passed right in front of you. Veggie asked with a raised eyebrow. Must have been the drugs. Angel replied, much to the former exorcist's disgust. Ha ha. Still, it's good to see you, Husk. Been clearing any tables lately? Naruto asked. Yeah, I've had better luck whenever you're not around. Get more wins that way. Husk chuckled. I thought that was the case. Finally broke your losing streak, huh? Oh, fuck you, Ninetails. Nope, not interested, and I don't swing that way. But I do, Angel cut in, getting right into Husk's face with a saucy grin on his face. How ya doin'? Boss, you'd best start explaining just what the hell do you want with me this time. The gambler grumbled, now in a bad mood from the pornstar's antics. My friend, I am doing some charity work, so I took it upon myself to volunteer your services. I hope that's okay, Alistair explained whilst wrapping an arm around Husk's neck. Are you shitting me? The feline sinner exclaimed in outrage. No, I don't think so, Alistair replied, causing Husk to push him away in anger. You thought it would be just some big fucking riot just to pull me out of nowhere. His temper was starting to boil. Now, you think I'm some kinda fucking clown? Maybe. I ain't doing no fucking charity job. Husk grumbled as he crossed his arms, only to slightly jump in surprise when the radio demon suddenly appeared right behind him. Well, I figured you would be the perfect face to man the front desk of this fine establishment. Alistair gestured to a renovated front desk, which also served as a bar. Naruto had to admit, the radio demon had good taste when it came to renovations. With your charming smile and welcoming energy, this job was made for you. Seeing that Husk was still not convinced, the overlord walked over to the desk. Don't worry, my friend. I can make this more welcoming, if you wish. With a wave of his arm, Alistair conjured a bottle of cheap booze onto the counter. Husk took a long look at the bottle of alcohol before snarling at the overlord. What, you think you can buy me with a wink and some cheap booze? Naruto couldn't help but cut in. Yo, Husk. I'll throw in the good sake that you liked last time. Sold. Cue the gambling addict immediately jumping behind the counter, making himself at home. Hey. No bar, no alcohol, Veggie exclaimed, waving her arms exasperatedly to the sides. This is supposed to be a place that discourages sin. Not some nasty brothel, mancave. Shut up, Angel shouted, tackling the former exorcist over on her back. Shut up, we are keeping this, pointing over to Husk, who was drinking the offered bottle of booze. With three of his hands, the spider-like sinner went on to teasingly flirt with the new concierge. Sighing at the pornstar's antics, the whiskered blonde went over to help Veggie up on her feet. Veggie, I know that you feel passionately about our mission, he assured in a hushed voice, only for Veggie to raise a hand in cutting him off. You of all people should know why, Naruto. How else am I supposed to atone for those years? She breathed out, careful not to let anyone else overhear her words. I know, Tenchi. The former shinobi wrapped an arm around her shoulders. And I for one admire that side of you. But, in a way, having a bar can be a benefit for what we're trying to do here. Dare I ask how? Naruto smiled at her words. 3 words. Cold turkey relapse. Veggie blinked before playfully scoffing at his answer, getting him to chuckle softly as he kissed her cheek. The white-haired woman blushed at his actions, only to school his features as the radio demon returned to the spotlight of attention. So, what do you think? Alistair asked the Princess of Hell, who was completely back to her usual bubbly demeanor. This is amazing. Veggie took longer to give her answer. It's okay. Satisfied, Alistair then looked Naruto in the eye. Any commentary from you, Ninetales? There was a mutual silence as they stared at each other, one stoic, the other grinning. Finally, I'll reserve my judgment for now, Alistair. Naruto replied, showing a face of indifference towards the overlord. Laughs. This is going to be very entertaining, Alistair announced. So with a flare of power, he invited everyone into a sort of song and dance, although only Charlie and Nifty were the only ones who fully participated. Not wanting to take part in the festivities, Naruto opted to merely sit on the nearby sofa. He didn't trust the radio demon, not by a long shot, but if Charlie thought it was a good idea to accept his help, then the whiskered blonde would stay his claws for the moment. I hope you know what you're doing, Charlie. After the impromptu party, everyone readied themselves to retire for the night. And as per the usual these days, Naruto had to reside in Charlie's suite, which she in turn shared with Veggie. It was rather intricate with a blend of Western and Oriental styles. The interior of the suite itself looked like a royal bedchamber with a king-sized bed and dining table, while the adjacent bathroom was more akin to a hot spring. There in the shower, the whiskered blonde washed off the day's grime and sweat as he ran soap through his hair. Suddenly, he felt two sets of hands running across his body before his back and chest were smothered by soft mounds. Girls, I'm trying to relax. We know, Charlie teased, lathering soap across his back as Veggie took care of his front. Not wanting to simply stand there like a statue, Naruto ran his fingers through Veggie's hair, earning an appreciative moan as he massaged her scalp. We just wanted to help you be thorough, that's all. Oh, that's what you're doing, he said, raising an eyebrow in amusement as he felt the former exorcist trace the contours of his abs. Could have fooled me. Just shut up and let us work, Zorito. Veggie snapped playfully as she smacked his chest, which elicited a mocking growl that nearly made her weak in the knees. Fine, fine. Letting them wash away at his body, the former shinobi then pondered on the day's events and the years they spent getting this far. Hey, Charlie, came the reply. Why did you accept Alistair's help? We know the radio demon works for no one's benefit but his own. The man is a complete sadistic narcissist with a flair for destroying the lives of others and viewing it as a twisted form of entertainment. Naruto felt Veggie stop her ministrations, knowing that she too was curious about why the bubbly princess made her decision. It's precisely because of those reasons that I chose to accept. That wasn't the optimistic voice he'd normally heard from the princess. His hair stood at one end as he turned to face his blonde girlfriend, her warm ruby eyes now a glowing icy sapphire. No, that was the voice and gaze of the persona which he'd unknowingly helped cultivate when he started training Charlie. That voice was sharp, seductive and calculating to a fault. And sometimes, he'd wished he'd never have to hear it again. Checking to make sure, he turned to look back at Veggie only to see her unmoving, as though frozen in time. Even the water from the showerhead seemed to be fixed in place. The whiskered blonde sighed, knowing what was happening. Well, if it isn't tall, blonde and virile. Kairi. Naruto finally responded. What's the matter, my love? The now-named persona of Kairi asked as she took a hold of Naruto's face beneath his chin. Are you not happy to see me? We both know the answer to that. But no matter how we feel about you, I believe there was an explanation to be made. You are such a killjoy, you know that. She huffed as she crossed her arms beneath her bust, causing them to push up and jiggle. Regardless, yes, I accepted the deal because of his vices. The man would be all too happy to watch heaven and hell burn to ash if it were for a means to achieve some quality entertainment. Furthermore, he'll strive to no end to ensure that his efforts would not go to waste. Better to have someone like Alistair on our side where we can keep a close eye on him, no. So you want to keep your friends and your enemies closer? Naruto replied, his eyes narrowing as a dangerous thought suddenly occurred to him. That better not include Veggie. Oh please. Like I would do anything to harm the little bird. My better half would never forgive me, even though I'd be doing her a favor. Kairi chided, walking around the blonde sinner as she cupped his groin. But then again, I do need someone to share this precious toy with, she stated whilst stroking his member. Only to stop as Naruto grabbed her forearm. Focus, Kairi. We both know Alistair didn't survive all these years in hell just by making deals. He's crafty and dangerous. And you aren't. The seductive persona innocently asked as she started running her hands across Vaggie's inert unresponsive body, paying special attention to the fallen angel's C-cup and stomach. What the man has in experience is in the political sense of things in hell. Granted he has connections with various other overlords barring a select few, but other than a few tricks up his sleeve the radio demon has no true advantage. Yes, he is a fighter and a hunter, but you are better in those aspects. I trust that one of these days, his ambition will outgrow his reach. And I, for one, believe as much as you do that he wants something of us. But until then, I want you both to behave like the good little boys you are. Sound good? Naruto had to forcefully pry his eyes away from Kairi playing with Vaggie's nipples, a taint darker than the rest of her skin, and instead closed his eyes in irritation. And if he does step out of line? Kairi coyly smirked as she neared her lover, brushing her against his as she wrapped her arms around his neck. Then you have my permission to do what needs to be done. Until we meet again, darling. The princess blinked as her eyes changed back into those familiar rubies once more, getting a sigh of relief from the whiskered blonde as time promptly resumed. Vaggie shivered pleasurably, as though her body had been caressed in great length. Charlie? He asked. Yeah, the princess replied, her family 9AR bubbly demeanor having returned full force. Naruto had thought to tell her what had taken place, but thought better of it and instead told her, never mind. I'm just tired after today, you know. Charlie smiled as she and Vaggie were finally done with teasing their shared boyfriend. Nope, I believe I was promised a lusty cream pie for dessert. Charlie. The former shinobi stammered, feeling Vaggie starting to fondle his thick member. Vaggie. Don't you dare. Oh. No, I want my dessert too, more. The white-haired beauty protested as she got down on her knees and started showering his groin with kisses and licks. Fuck, why'd I even bother? I'll worry about this shit tomorrow. The whiskered sinner finally relented as he felt the former exorcist take his shaft deep within her mouth, her tongue swirling around him, Charlie turning his face towards hers for a deep French kiss. Naruto proceeded to give his lovers plenty of rich, creamy helpings that very night. Don't worry, Mom, I'll make you proud. Charlie Morningstar spoke to herself as she looked out at the aftermath of the latest extermination day, a book in her hand titled The Story of Hell. The young woman was currently sitting on a sofa in her own private room. She had just finished reading when she suddenly heard, Charlie. The Princess of Hell let out a startled yelp before swiftly turning around to find Vaggie standing in the middle of the room. Oh, shit, she cried, dropping her key which transformed into her familiar cat, Kaka. Did you hear all that? Yeah, the former exorcist replied with a smile, pointing her thumb towards the doorway. I was right there. Sorry, Charlie spoke as she turned to look out of her window. I get pretty worked up after an extermination happens, the story helps. Vaggie chuckled as she walked closer to the blonde princess. I know, don't worry. I enjoy your theatrics. Her face took on a more worried look as the former exorcist then asked, Are you okay? I'm fine, Charlie reassured her girlfriend. Just thinking, you know. Family stuff. Did you hear from your mom yet? The white-haired woman asked, only to get a headshake as a response. Oof. How long has it been now? Not that long. The Princess of Hell answered, though she was a bit unsure herself. Only 7 years off doing something important, I'm sure. As she was speaking, THJE Blonde got up from her spot on the sofa and walked toward the large window. But this kingdom was something she really cared about. Something I care about. Well, at least you aren't alone. Vaggie assured her. Knock, knock. This a bad time. The two young women turned to find Naruto standing at the entrance. The former shinobi was leaning on the doorframe, holding a large bowl of freshly made ramen in one hand and a pair of chopsticks in the other. Wearing an orange sleeveless shirt to complement his black shorts, he looked on at the duo with a bemused expression. Charlie, Vaggie, anyone home? He teased with a wide grin. No, Vaggie replied with a straight face, although the tone in her voice was more playful in nature. I was just checking up on Charlie. What brings you up here? Nothing, really. I can only put up with Alistair's antics for so long before it starts to get irritating. The blonde sinner replied with a shrug. Also, I figured that she could use a pick-me-up after today. He finished whilst extending one of his tails from behind his back to offer 2 more bowls of freshly made ramen. Oh, thanks, Naruto, Charlie quipped as she accepted the offered meal, using the chopsticks to begin slurping the delicious noodles. Letting out a pleased hum, the Princess of Hell set down her bowl only after emptying its contents before licking her lips. Wow, I really needed that, she said. Sitting up straight, Charlie flashed her boyfriend a warm smile. No problem, the whiskered blonde replied with a grin. And hey, remember that we've got your back, no matter what. Okay. Charlie nodded immediately with gusto with a quick, yep. Happy that Charlie was in a good mood, Vaggie suddenly remembered why she was there. Oh, right, I almost forgot. Alistair said he had something to show us. Oh, Griot, Naruto. Now Charlie turned to her fellow blonde with a pout. He already agreed to help us. Could you please just pretend to get along with him? Not in a million years. Naruto. All right, but no promises, Waihar. Well, hello there, you wayward sinner. Do you like blood, violence and depravity of a nature? Of course, you do. That's why you're in hell. But what if I told you there was a place to stay that had none of that? Exclamation mark. Welcome to the Has-Been Hotel, a misguided path to redemption. Founded 5 days ago by Lucifer's delusional daughter, Charlotte Morningstar. Come place your fate in her inexperienced hands, as she tries to work through her daddy issues by fixing you. Here we offer fun things, such as somewhat functional staff, and 24-hour pest control, custom rooms, and just look at this tacky parlor. Enjoy riveting conversations with our singular resident. Wow, all this and more at the Has-Been Hotel. Your last desperate attempt at salvation starts here. Turning off the television after a rather god-awful attempt of a commercial, the radio demon turned to face Charlie, Vaggie and Naruto with his arms stretched wide. So, what do you think? It was a good 5 seconds before Vaggie was the first to respond. I'm sorry, what the fuck was that? Yeah, one note. Charlie dragged out, ever with an optimistic smile. Alistair, I mean, first off, thank you so much for making this. Seriously, amazing. But, nervously the blonde princess continued, maybe the tone was a bit off. We want people to want to come here. This makes it look, bad. The former exorcist supplied, the word you're looking for is bad. Funny, I was going for hilarious. It didn't explain anything about how we're trying to save demons from extermination, which is the whole fucking point. The white-haired woman spat. Vaggie is right, Alistair. Charlie supported her girlfriend's rant, though in a more helpful tone. The commercial was supposed to let sinners know we are here to help them. Well, my dear, the Overlord began, I haven't been active in hell for some time. And everyone remembers me from my radio show, the proper medium to express oneself. But you insisted on this. Here he pointed his cane at the very dial-operated television the commercial was aired on earlier. Noisy picture box advertisement. So I had a little fun with it. Oh, fun. You had a little fun with it. Vaggie was getting irritated by the radio demon's nonchalance manner. Well, this is not what we want to represent us. When you showed up a week ago you told us you would help run this hotel, but instead you're mocking us. Nobody's gonna want to come to a place that a powerful overlord like you thinks is a waste of time. Vaggie, are you kidding? This is actually pretty great for someone like him. And there was Naruto's offhanded comment. Whatever are you implying, fox boy? The red-clad sinner quipped back with a threatening undertone. To which the former shinobi was all too happy to reply with a helpful smile. I mean, let's face it. You're mostly a radio star, Alistair. It's your thing. I won't judge you for it. So for you to go out of your way to do this ad must have been really something else. Naruto continued. Shit, just a few more tweaks here, a little more planning there, and you'd be just as good as Vox. You've heard of him, haven't you? Didn't you call him a sleazy, shady, narcissistic, third-rate attention whore that couldn't make good material to save his life? The Princess of Hell asked the whiskered blonde with a raised eyebrow. I did. Gasping in faux surprise, Naruto scratched the back of his head as he gave the Overlord a toothy grin. I'm sure he knows I didn't mean anything by it, right, Alistair? Oh, I'm sure you haven't. His tone might have sounded polite, but the radio demon was going to enjoy making the whiskered blonde suffer one of these days, that much was certain. If you're filming a commercial, Angel Dust drawled, finally making his presence known from his place on the comfy love seat, can I suggest you take better advantage of the talented celebrity you have right here? Vaggie looked at him with a flat expression. Angel, you're a porn star. A famous porn star. The spider-themed sinner pointed out eagerly. I'll have the horniest sinners knocking these walls down to get in. We're not filming a porn as a commercial. Why not? Sells, don't it? Angel questioned with a wink. I swear, if you film me going at it with Mr. Fancy Talk creepy voice here, he pointed his thumb at Alistair, who had seemingly teleported behind him, you'd be rolling in participants willing to stay in this tacky hotel. Ha ha, never going to happen. The radio demon retorted. Angel, I appreciate you wanting to use your special skills to, attract folks to the hotel. Charlie began nervously. Boot, I really don't want to exploit you in that way. Oh please, baby, the porn star purred out, this body was made to be exploited. I got the arms, I got the stamina, I got the legs, I got the lung capacity. Ho ho. I got the legs. Then Angel listed off the rest. The gag reflex, the holes, the chest fluff everyone thinks are tits. Suddenly Charlie's phone started ringing beside her. Hold that thought. When she saw who it was, she immediately got up and walked to a secluded area. I'll be right back. I can keep going all night, baby. Turning around a corner into the main hallway, Charlie took a deep breath before answering her phone. Hello, Dad. Back with the others, Angel decided to switch the topic. Hey, I have a question, he started before waving his hand at Alistair. If Freaky Face over there is so powerful, why can't he just make people stay here? Performance issues, Naruto quipped, causing the porn star to stifle his laughter. Oh, trust me, the radio demon assured before his entire visage took on a more demonic tone, gaining their attention. I can. Why do you think I'm here? Turning around, the saw Husker tending the bar in his own nonchalant manner. You actually think I'd be cleaning bottles and listening to you fucks bitch and moan all the time if he wasn't forcing me? Nifty, ever the demented housekeeper, piped up from beside the cat-themed sinner. I like being forced. Keep that to yourself, Nif. What? Angel started to tease. You don't love being here with me, Whiskers. It only served to irritate Husker. Call me Whiskers again, and I'll jam that bottle down your throat. The gambler hissed. Kinky. It did nothing to deter the four-armed sinner. Come on, keep talking dirty. Angel, if you keep irritating Husker, I'll tie you down to a chair and force you to eat Hawaiian pizza, Naruto threatened, with extra pineapples. And ketchup. Quote. Oh, you motherfucker. Now the porn star was pissed. I never should have introduced you to Italian food, Yahir. And no, we can't force sinners to stay here. They need to choose to. Vaggie cut off the impending argument before it could even begin. I'm choosing to be here, and I think it's all stupid. The spider-like sinner complained. We're in hell, toots. It's kinda the end of the road, ain't it? Well, maybe it doesn't have to be. The fallen angel reasoned. Just because nobody ever made it out before, doesn't mean it's not possible. The former shinobi nodded in agreement. There's no point in saying it can't be done when someone gives up on the first try. He could think of the number of people he managed to convince in his old life. Zabuza, Inari, Gaara, Nagato. Hell, even Obito counted amongst that number. But the traitor is no longer worthy. A dark, primal thought ran through the back of his mind, causing a wave of discontent to briefly appear on his face. We had a chance to build a better world for ourselves, and he chose to destroy it. Suddenly, Naruto picked up a sense of giddiness emanating from the main hall. I guess Charlie's phone call with her dad went well. Despite Naruto knowing that the King of Hell had a tremendous amount of responsibility, it did him good to see the man at least call his daughter every once in a while, even if it was for errands. Her mom. That's another story. Vaggie. Holy shit, Charlie suddenly yelled, startling the white-haired woman briefly before calming down as she walked over to her girlfriend. What's going on? She asked, seeing the bubbly princess jumping up and down, which did wonderful things to her chest, much to Vaggie's and Naruto's delight, before Charlie took a deep breath to calm herself. My dad just called, the blonde began. He said that the leader of the Angel Army, gasp, wants to meet. He asked if I, gasp, could go, gasp, instead. This was news to Naruto, albeit a very worrying one. From what the pair had told him 10 years ago, there had almost never been a meeting between heaven and hell so soon after an extermination. But the extermination just happened, the former exorcist muttered. What could they want this soon? I smell a trap, Naruto stated, unsure of heaven's intentions for the meeting. Gaining the princess's attention, the former shinobi gave his reasons. Look, if it is the leader of those mass-murdering fanatics, chances are they're not gonna like your idea of redemption. What are the odds they won't use this meeting to their advantage? But, I have to try, Naruto. Charlie pleaded as she looked into his eyes. This idea, it was my lifelong dream. Surely you can understand that. Charlie, sigh, pinching the bridge of his nose, the whiskered blonde let out a sigh as he relented. On one condition, he told her, I'm coming with you. The pair of women gasped as even Angel stopped annoying Husker. Alistair looked on, his smile ever present on his face. Quote. Don't you still have that bounty on your head, Ninetails? The bartender asked with a raised eyebrow as he washed the whiskey glasses. After the Exorcist massacre 10 years ago, Heaven had made it their priority to bring in the former shinobi for questioning. Naturally, they were never able to find Naruto themselves in the first place, so instead a bounty was issued to sinners all over Pentagram City. absolute immunity from every extermination for the capture and retrieval of Ninetales to the Heaven Embassy. Not that the blonde sinner felt that there was anyone crazy or strong enough to cash in that bounty, but he almost never left the safety of the hotel without a disguise. "Husk, come on, it's me," he reassured the cat-like sinner. "They won't find me unless I wanna be found. And I have no intention on being found just yet." "You would do that for me?" Charlie asked, stunned at her boyfriend's words. "Charlie, have I ever let you down?" Naruto answered with a sly smirk. "And besides, it's just a meeting with the bigwig of the Angel Army. How bad could it be?" Later at the embassy, "I take it back. This was a fucking mistake," the blonde sinner miserably thought. He was currently curled up on Charlie's lap within one of the conference rooms of the embassy in his fox form, and to be honest he found the atmosphere to be quite lacking. Plain faded soft colors weren't really his thing. But what really pissed him off was the egotistic asshole sitting in front of them. This angel wore a mask that appeared similar to other exorcists, though with normal-looking eyes and golden facial expressions. The mask also held a pair of horns similar to an exorcist, albeit longer, smoother, and with a golden ornamental attachment on the tips. He also had a pair of large and golden wings on his back. His halo was bright gold in appearance, and similar to the exorcist's, has two spikes pointing up and down from each other. He wore a smooth white and golden cloak that appears to have a large A symbol emblazoned on the front. His visible hands were black in appearance, and had gold-tipped spikes on the back of his collar. Not to mention that the guy eats like a fucking pig. The disguised sinner thought as he watched the army leader decimate the entire plate of ribs as he was bragging about himself. Fuck, does he ever shut up? So I was playing this gig, and for some fucking reason this virtue chick was digging on the drummer. And it's like, do you know who I am? I'm fucking Adam. I'm the original. All descend from me. You think you want drummer? No way. I'm the fucking master. The gaudy angel took a break from talking to eat more ribs. So anyway, then we fucked. And it was awesome. What did you do this weekend? Wait, your name is Adam? Charlie questioned, the gears starting to turn in her head. Like, the first man Adam. That means you ooh. Her face then morphed into one of slight disgust. That explains so much. I know. I rock. More like you fucking, but hey. Who's judging? The former shinobi lamented as he yawned out of boredom. Well, Adams sir. Mr. Adams sir. Call me. No. This time Charlie insisted, slightly dropping the cheerful demeanor she was known for. Just no. Well you can't win 'em all, right Loot? The first man asked his second in command, who was feminine in appearance and had worn an attire similar to other exorcists save for the fact that the right pupil of her mask is a white circle with an X over it instead of a white X. Yes, sir. TCH. Up. Okay. Then, the bubbly princess spoke up, scratching the disguised blonde behind the ear so as to keep him calm. Adam, you seem like a smart stand-up guy. Uh-huh. And I know that you are the leader of the angels. And that you are a big thinker, a revolutionary, a genius. Yeah, I don't see any of that, Charlie. Naruto thought to himself, although he could see the exorcist leader taking in the compliments in stride. Who would really love to put his name on something? I fucking love putting my name on shit. Adam agreed, standing up from his seat. Shit's the best. It's the solution to our biggest problem. Ah. Right. Herpes. Yeah. That's a bitch. Single quote ... Honestly, not gonna fucking lie. An egotistic prick he might be, but that's the truth. No. Our other biggest problem. Oh. Ugly people. The first man asked, unsure as to what the princess was getting at. Math. Global warming. No wait. That's Earth's problem. No, our shared problem of overpopulation in hell. Charlie was starting to feel herself lose her patience. Oh, that. Well, that's not a problem. We've got that covered, Adam cheerfully answered, arms stretched wide open before turning to face his subordinate. Loot, how many demons did you kill this year? Merely a rough 75 this year, sir. Adam winced. Actually winced. At the number that was given. Sheesh. Not like how it used to be, huh? Sighing in disappointment, he shook his head as he reminisced about how things used to be. Time was each and every single one of my bitches would score in the triple digits at the end of extermination. Now, the head exorcist scoffed in disgust. Limitations and shit, like how the fuck was I supposed to know we'd lose 200 people? Which reminds me, now he glared at Charlie and the disguised Naruto, who was taking the amount of killing intent a whole lot better than his girlfriend. Gone was the laid-back mocking nature that the Princess of Hell had seen when she first met Adam. Where's Ninetails? He growled in restraint. You mean the sinner with the bounty on his head? Charlie nervously replied, visibly shaking at the sheer intensity. How does Naruto deal with this shit? Yes, that one. Lute growled, her fist clenched in barely restrained anger. Why? Because that whiskered Sonova bitch owes me for what happened 10 years ago. Or the fact that he made us look like a fucking joke. Adam snarled, emphasizing his rage by slamming his fist on the table. Fucking prick, thinking he's better than me. Really, me, I'm the fucking Adam, the first fucking man. Who the fuck does that bastard think he is? Taking a moment to calm down, the head exorcist sat back down in his seat. No, I'm cool now. Anyways, me and the girls were thinking about moving up the timetable for the next extermination. I'd say 6 months. Sound cool? I knew this meeting was a sham. Naruto grumbled to himself before closing his eyes. Although I'm somewhat happy that I left a lasting impression on the fucker. Wait, what? The Princess of Hell exclaimed in shock. This was not how she thought this meeting was going to go. But what about helping the sinners redeem themselves? Their souls, human souls, surely they deserve a second chance. They deserved eternal damnation, Lute stated, walking closer to Charlie rather menacingly. To her credit, the blonde barely even flinched with every step. The only reason you're still here is because Daddy gave you and your hellborn kind a pardon from an exorcist's blade. Circling around the princess, the vindictive woman continued. How does it feel, knowing how little you matter? In another life, Charlie Morningstar wouldn't have known exactly how to deal with this situation. And she would have desperately tried to push forward her plan to no avail. But thanks to Naruto's advice and support, the Princess of Hell knew better. And she would not waste any more time. Well, given the fact that otherwise you'd be possibly staring down one of the Godia or the sins, I'd say the thought barely bothers me. And Charlie looked the bitch in the eye when she meant those words, though she smirked inwardly when she felt the woman start to slightly bristle. Remember, I'm the nice one in my family. And I was asked to come here to this meeting. But if all we're doing is running around in circles trading insults, then I see no reason to remain. Excuse me, you're excused. The normally bubbly blonde waved off, causing Luke to growl in frustration. I may have wanted to push forward my plans of redeeming sinners, but you were the one who wanted this meeting. Getting up from her seat, she made to leave as Naruto, still in his fox form, landed on the floor beside her. But now we're just wasting time, so I'm leaving. Goodbye, Adam. Oh no you don't, bitch. Here the first man flew over in front of Charlie, barring my path. You don't get to walk on out of here without my say-so. It was only then that Naruto started growling, gaining the attention of the two angels. Okay, who the fuck let this flea-ridden mutt in here? Came Adam's outcry. Gasp! Foxy! Charlie cried out, using Naruto's alias in this form. Settle down, you'll get us in trouble. Allow me, sir. Lute wasted no time in brandishing her blade at the disguised sinner. I'll be more than happy to kill it. No, please. He hasn't done anything wrong. This filthy mongrel dared to desecrate a house of God. The subordinate exclaimed, causing the fox to growl even louder. But then those growls soon turned to chuckles. God, he spoke, a deep and guttural tone that shocked and frightened the exorcists. Does not live here. This is an empty box. What the fuck? Demon filth. No. Wait. Clang. Asterisk. Silence permeated the room as Lute began to register what happened. She had struck at the creature with her angelic sword, and the damn thing caught her blade with its teeth before shattering it. HMPH. Not liking the taste of metal shards in his mouth, Naruto spat out the offending material, impure and brittle, like your faith. Faith. Adam was now getting pissed. You wanna talk about faith? I should have known you were a filthy sinner. Tell me something, shit stain. How do you think you deserve to get past the pearly gates? Oh, I have no intention on leaving hell, bird. The fox smirked, much to Lute's ire. Hence why I've decided to assist the princess in her endeavors. Though I do not seek redemption, I will not refuse my services to those in need. Liar. The second in command snarled, throwing away her broken weapon in a fit of rage. Everyone knows your kind has been damned to oblivion, with no possible hope of redemption. There is no redeeming sinners. Lies. Naruto mocked. In your house of God. Okay. That's enough. Charlie took the choice to end the conversation by grabbing the disguised sinner and making her way out the door. Well, Adam, I'd say it was a pleasure meeting you, but I really need to get going. We've run out of time, and I'm sure you're busy, and again, I'm so sorry for Foxy's at a tutorial I heshniswan sujetono women di hopi out change yormand about possibly redeeming. Let me stop you right there. Save us all precious time. Adam started singing, cutting the blonde's apology off. If what you're suggesting is letting them climb. Ah, fuck. Naruto really should have just stayed home at the hotel. Later. 6 months. Veggie all but screeched at the pair when they got back from the meeting. They moved up the timetable in 6 fucking months. Well, obviously, Naruto replied, undoing his disguise the moment they entered the hotel. The fat fuck and his little bitch only wanted to brag about themselves. There was no talking about anything. Oh, that's just great. The fallen angel grumbled. Because of this, we now have to worry about the extermination deadline being cut in half, and so far we don't have a single new guest for the hotel. What the fuck am I? Angel Dust rudely asked from his spot on the loveseat. A pain in my. It's amazing to look at. Toots. Aagagh. Vaggie. Try to calm down. It's okay. At least nothing else happened. Charlie reasoned as she laid a hand on her girlfriend's shoulder. Besides, it's not like we left empty-handed. Oh ho, interesting. Do tell. Alistair chimed in. Well, to start, the bubbly princess cleared her throat. Adam went on a rant about limitations on exterminatins, meaning that he's not really the one in charge. And yet he's the leader of the army, so whoever has that much influence over him must be pretty high up. Not to mention the deadline itself. Naruto added, getting their attention. Vaggie's been in hell for about as long as I have, and you guys have been around longer than the both of us. Those exorcists would have jumped at the chance for 2 exterminations in a row, wouldn't they? Now that you mention it, it does feel weird that those exorcists would wait for 6 months. Husk answered, rubbing his chin. If anything, I'd expect them to come back within a week tops. Exactly. It wouldn't make sense for those murder-happy birds to wait 6 months when they could have picked any day they wanted. Damn the deal with Lucifer. Naruto agreed. He could practically feel the negativity rolling off that one exorcist. Lute, was it? And her eagerness for bloodshed was appalling. Adam's hiding something, and I'll bet my entire stash of ramen that it's damning. HMM, and the plot thickens. Cheerily, Alistair took a spoonful of his bowl of jambalaya. Now the question begs, my dear fox, what could he be hiding? And who could be holding the first man's leash? Dunno, the whiskered blonde admitted, but I intend to find out. Okay, so the extermination is coming in 6 months instead of a year. Within the hotel, Charlie was pacing back and forth in the lobby, being careful not to step on Kaka as the one-eyed cat was prancing between her legs. She was in the midst of a meeting with Naruto, Veggie and Angel Dust discussing Adam's glorious plan. No big deal, just a little setback. Nothing we can't handle, the blonde princess continued. Just Angel's cutting our timetable in half. But who need a whole year to save souls, am I right? Now she was starting to sound more and more nervous. And next time when they cut the time in half again, and again, we'll just handle it. Right, yes, we will, Veggie calmly answered, grabbing her girlfriend's arms in an effort to soothe her nerves. Oh, please, Angel, on the other hand, ya had less than half a chance when ya started all this salvation bullshit. And now, briefly looking down at his phone, Angel read his messages quickly before looking back up at the pair. Ain't no silver lining this time, Toots. Sure there is, the Princess of Hell reasoned. We just have to look a little harder for it. Well, while you're looking, the porn star pointed out, the rest of Hell's goin' nuts. People are already freaking out about da news. Scrolling down on his hell phone, he then showcased to the others. Look at what's happening in the Doomsday District. What is a donkey show? Charlie asked, much to the spider-like sinner's shock. Oh, nothing. Angel exclaimed before composing himself. My boss, Val, is just freaked out about the news too. Like I said, everybody's losing their shit. Yeah, and they're getting desperate. Naruto stated, maybe this would be a good time to offer some of these sinners a place here. Charlie squealed at the suggestion before leaning over to kiss her boyfriend in gratitude. Repeatedly, holy shit, why didn't he think of that? Naruto, thank you so much, I love you. No. Gasp. Problem. Gasp. Veggie. Gasp. Tag in. Let me think about Denope. The fallen angel knew better than to take her shared boyfriend at his word. As the former shinobi suffered under his girlfriend's ministrations, Angel was being a bit skeptical. Good idea and all, but you really gonna go out in all of this? He asked, showing a video of several sinners lighting themselves on fire. Well, it's not like people are just going to show up on our doorstep. Ka-boom. Asterisk. The group jumped in surprise as something blew a hole through one of the hotel walls, causing Naruto to blink as he then looked up with his arms spread wide. Well, it's not like $50 million is just gonna fall from the sky onto my lap. He yelled, only for absolutely nothing to happen. Oh fuck you, God. This is bullshit. Show yourself, Alistair, came a voice echoing through a megaphone. Single quote ... Are you kidding me right now, Pentious? The whiskered blonde grumbled as he shifted into his foxy disguise. It hasn't even been a fucking week. Meanwhile within the warship, Pentious was standing at the manual controls as he shouted his challenge. Come and face my asterisk. It was then that he had finally noticed the radio demon, who sipping a hot cup of coffee on the second-floor terrace. Oh, there you are. The snake-like sinner muttered beneath his breath before shouting again. Face my wrath, asterisk, quote ... Who are you? Alistair mocked as he took a sip of his drink. Who am I? WHOAMI. Came the angry reply. I am the great Sir Pentous. Inventor. Architect of DESSSTRUCTION. Villain extraordinaire, asterisk. Ooh, he's a bad boy. The tiny one-eyed sinner remarked as she crawled atop the radio demon's head, who then proceeded to gently lower her back onto the ground. "Sorry Nifty, but you're gonna be disappointed," the former shinobi thought to himself. "Huh, well if all that's true, you'd think I'd have heard of you. I attacked you literally last week." Asterisk. The red-clad overlord merely craned his head to one side in confusion. "We've done battle, like, 20 times. Asterisk. Well, you must have been really bad at this." Silence. "Now cower. For when I've SSSSSSLAIN," you serpentious monologued as he fixed his bowtie. "The almighty V's will finally acknowledge me as their equal." Asterisk. Ooh, wait, who are the V's? Oh, nobody important. Naruto begged to differ, though he would admit they were annoying to deal with. He had the displeasure of meeting Valentino once during his first month in hell, and that was only because the gaudy son of a bitch was looking to claim his soul. One fight, a pulverized face, 2 broken legs and 4 severed arms was enough to make the overlord back off. The whiskered blonde would have preferred killing Valentino, but thankfully the pimp demon never bothered him again since. And Vox, he just didn't like in particular. The flat-faced blowhard practically advertised his bounty to the rest of the Pride Ring. Honestly, whenever that innovative prick wasn't looking to cash in on his bounty, he was constantly trying, and failing, to get a leg up on Alistair. Or push out whatever crap he was advertising. Fucking designer voyeurscopes. The former shinobi grumbled as he witnessed the radio demon preparing to do battle, and really, who the fuck else would air a TV show called, "Yeah, I fucked your sister, so what?" Like a depraved egomaniac. And then, there was Velvet. Single quote. "I swear to God that woman is a lot, even if she's gorgeous. If Charlie hadn't made me take that stupid bet when we were drunk that one time, I never would have slept with Velvet." Not to mention he had to take a selfie of them cuddling afterwards. He felt dirty, having met the self-proclaimed backbone of the V's, in a more intimate manner than he was comfortable with. Pretty sure she has that somewhere in her photo album, and all I got was sleeping on the couch by myself for a month. But it was either that, or let Kyrie out of the seal for a day. Fuck that shit. No way in hell I'm letting that bitch out the seal. But still, dealing with the V's bullshit was tiresome. Pentagram City, Entertainment District, V Tower. On the other side of the city, a tall tower with pink-tinted windows surrounding each layer and a satellite dish on top of the roof. It is decorated with red glowing LED lights, which also surround the top layer. The symbol of the building resemble 3 V's, the middle in cyan, the left in red and finally the right in magenta. In the middle of the main V, there is a sign in the shape of lips. The rest of the layers have LED rings surrounding the roof, the color going from cyan, red, and magenta from top to bottom. This was V Tower, workplace and residence of the trio of overlords known as the V's. And speaking of which, deep within a sophisticated surveillance room, a sinner was watching the live feed coming from the ground sales floors above. He was a tall and slim-figured, technology-themed demon who stands at approximately 7 feet. He sports a flat-screen television for a head, with the monitor projecting eyes with red sclera, small cyan pupils and different colored outlines, black for his right and cyan for his left. The screen also shows a mouth full of sharp, cyan-colored teeth and a long pointed cyan-colored tongue. Sometimes what looks like blood seems to drip out of his mouth. His skin was a dark navy blue with sharp, cyan claw-like fingers. The sinner wore a navy blue tuxedo with the jacket sporting coattails, red-trimmed cyan lapels, thin cyan stripes and cyan lining, worn over a red and black striped waistcoat which itself is worn over a collared bluish-white shirt with an upside-down broadcast symbol and a rather large, red bow tie. He also wears heeled dark gray dress shoes with cyan-colored laces, toes, and tips on the heels. Completing his ensemble was a small black top hat on his head, with red and blue designs reminiscent of a broadcast symbol and radio wave symbol, respectively. He has TV antennae that stick out the top of his hat, the left one bent into a zigzag. Bwahahahaha. Now that's good television, he hollered out with pride. This was Vox, leader of the V's, CEO, founder, and owner of Vox Tech Enterprises. Suddenly receiving a buzz from one of his associates, the cyan-clad overlord transferred the call to a nearby screen as he sat down for his morning coffee. Hello there, Velvet. How are you this hellish morning? Oh, cut the shit, Vox. I need you up here now. Whatever could be the problem, my dear. Vox replied as he turned his chair around whilst taking a sip of his coffee. Your little boy toy is wrecking my department, while I'm trying to put together a show. And there was a brief shout of anger on the other side of the call as Velvet resumed her conversation. Just get your ass here now. Damn it, Valentino. It was only after the call had disconnected that the leader of the V's let his smile drop in an annoyed sigh. Oh, God, here I go, Valentino. Just another fucking day with Val. Honestly, he could do well without his other associates' rather violent temper. Made him seem like an overgrown man-child throwing around a tantrum. As he stepped onto an elevating platform, Vox could only wonder what had his business partner so aggravated this time. Hey, fuck my life. Reaching the main lobby, he quickly donned his public mask as the man of the people, before walking towards the gathered reporters as they swarmed him, asking their questions. Mr. Vox, what are your thoughts on the new extermination deadline? My dear people, the flat-faced overlord began, we at Vox Tech Enterprises have always been at the forefront of innovation. And now, with this new oncoming threat, we're shifting our focus to your protection. Pausing for effect, Vox then revealed his latest project. We are pleased to announce, VOXTEK Angelic Security is coming soon. Trust us, with your safety. As the CEO finished speaking, his left eye gained a black spiral and the pupil became a cyan electric symbol. The various reporters and sinners were soon entranced as though fallen under some sort of hypnosis. Sir, one of his underlings stepped forward with a question. When did we begin working on angelic security? 30 seconds ago. Vox growled in annoyance. Try to get that bitch Carmilla on the books, and cancel all my appointments today. I have a fire to put out upstairs. Ending his orders on that note, he then left for upstairs via a security camera on the ceiling. On another floor of the tower, there was a rather large room adorned with mirrors, fabrics and sewing machines that was currently in the midst of clean-up after Valentino's rampage. This was the fashion department, hosted by none other than trending overlord herself. Such was Velvet, head of the fashion department and the self-acclaimed backbone of the V's. Velvet was a slim and rather petite demon with cedar brown skin, and long curly hair fashioned into a high ponytail. Her hair is colored in a desire red that features the insides colored in a faded dark navy blue, and white swirled streaks on her pigtails and one on her bangs. Her eyes have white irises, red sclera and slit-like pupils, and her makeup consists of burgundy eyeshadow on her eyelids, and black lipstick on her lips with a strip across the center of her mouth. Her clothing consisted of a set of skull earrings, and a sleeveless dark navy blue jacket with burgundy lining and 2 desire hearts on the left side of the fur collar. She wore it over a sleeveless, red mini dress with white lines around the collar and down the skirt with white spots in between, underneath which she had worn black leggings. For footwear, she wore navy low-heeled shoes with white pom-poms on top. Finally, her arms were adorned in red striped fingerless opera gloves with alternating colors, white for her left glove and black for her right. Currently she was walking towards her underlings who had a selection of gowns held out in presentation. With a hint of disgust, the fashionista began. No, unacceptable. You're fired. What is this? Velvet grabbed a sleeve from one of the gowns and inspected the ends of it. Wrist ruffles. Is it 1750? Burn it like the witches who wore it. The disgruntled overlord was so frustrated that she almost didn't notice Vox just teleporting into her department. Ho ho, Velvet, he started, I can see you're busy. Tell me, where's our hot-headed friend now? Up in his tower, waiting for a flat-faced prince to calm him down. Came the retort of the short-statured woman, getting Vox to sigh in annoyance at her, admittedly reasonable, frustration. And, what's got him so out of sorts today? The cyan-clad overlord asked with a smile on his face. Who knows? Velvet replied, grabbing a severed arm to point at Vox, but he tore up my best model. And you know the show can't wait for that unlucky bitch to pull herself back together. She snarled as she threw away the limb from her grasp before turning to look at one of her other models that volunteered. Melissa, get over here. As the forementioned sinner stood nervously onto the podium, Velvet utilized her powers to make different dresses adorn her new model one by one. No hideous, I want to die you. Before finally settling on an extravagant dress. Yes, that's the one. It looks like you have everything under control here. Of course, I do. Fuck you. The fashionista snapped back before dismissing her business partner with a wave. Now, shoo, take care of the piss baby. As Vox walked up to Valentino's suite, he couldn't help but notice a particular blend of ruined lingerie that looked somewhat familiar. The media demon then grimaced as he then remembered where he'd seen it before. Oof. Val got into your private Ninetales stash, didn't he? Go. Velvet growled as Vox immediately scrambled out the door, not wanting to linger lest he risked his fellow associate's wrath. She was saving that line of lingerie for the next time she'd meet Ninetales. And there will be a next time, damn it. The fashionista thought to herself as she then proceeded to oversee the oncoming production of gowns for her next show. No man is gonna give me a good fucking like that and then just take off. Looking down at her body, Velvet allowed for a sinful smirk to adorn her face. This body was meant to be worshipped. And by Satan's broiling ballsack, I'll get that God-given hunk of a man all to myself. Having reached his destination, Vox allowed for the attendants to open the set of double doors before walking into the rather lavish parlor. Seeing most of the main room covered in red smoke, the flat-faced overlord scanned around until he found an outline of just the sinner he was looking for. Fucking finally, this was Valentino, the porn demon, head of porn studios and a member of the V's. He appeared to be a moth demon with lavender skin and lacking pupils and irises in his cerise pink eyes, over which he wears a pair of gold-rimmed, heart-shaped sunglasses with cerise lenses. His mouth is full of sharp, cerise teeth with a single golden fang that sits to his far left of center. Valentino's stature is tall, estimated to be around 10 feet, which he emphasizes with long black-heeled boots. He has fluffy white neck fur with small red love hearts that plumes up from his coat's break line. The top of his head was crowned bald with moth-like antennae, the right appearing like a large white with black heart-striped feather while the left appears smaller and lacking the white areas. He has an extra set of arms just above his hips. His hands and forearms are black, mimicking black gloves, while the upper halves are his normal skin color. He wears a red floor-length coat with white fur at the wrists, as well as black and white striped fur trimmed down the center front to the bottom hem, and 3 white stripes on both hips with a heart-shaped design on the back. This coat is pinned with a gold chain and gold love heart-shaped brooch fastening at the. Completing his ensemble, Valentino wears a red top hat with a wide, asymmetrical zebra-printed hat band, in which his antennae poke out like feathers, and a pair of high-heeled black boots. Snarling, he threw an empty cup onto the floor causing it to shatter as he turned to a robotic servant. Kitty, another drink. Turning back to Vox, Valentino began his rant. Can you believe what that piece of shit did? The ungrateful whore. The porn demon roared out as he threw his second glass at a wall without even taking a sip. Which whore are we talking about this time? Fucking angel dust. Who the hell else would I be talking about? The taller overlord snarled as he walked towards his business partner. That fucking walked out on me. I fucking made him. Without me, he's just a bag of meat with some mildly entertaining holes. What? Angel quit? Vox nonchalantly asked, though he found it unlikely. No, he didn't fucking quit. It's worse. Grabbing Vox's phone, Valentino threw it at a nearby wall. He moved. Pacing the floor again, the moth-like sinner kept his monologue going. He thinks he can just walk in here, work, and then work somewhere else. Can you fucking believe that? Stomping over to his wardrobe, the porn overlord finished his retort. He thinks he can just run off and shack up with Lucifer's bimbo daughter. Vox raised an eyebrow in curiosity. Angel is living with Lucifer's daughter now. Yeah, that bitch. Chalky or Chandler, I dunno, something mannish like that. She's got this hotel and, turning to face the media demon with a pair of gaudy-looking guns in his hands, Valentino asked him with a suggestive smile. Which of these makes me look? Alarm bells started going off in the CEO's mind as the very dangerous implications came to light at his associate's words. Hey, what are you doing, Val? He asked before his voice took on a more serious tone. You're not going over there. That slippery twink is going to remember who owns him. The gaudy pimp demon hissed, already imagining the amount of carnage that he'll get to cause. I'm gonna fuck everyone in that rancid shithole, I swear to God. Val. Vox grabbed Valentino by the hem of his coat to look him in the eye. God, why do I have to reason with this fucking idiot? Can't he see that it's suicide? The TV demon growled inwardly before playing off his anger with a chuckle. Think about it, he reasoned, opting to dumb it down for the other overlord as he walked him towards the windows. Our brand is perfection. Now, what do you think chasing whores around town will do for our image? Fuck it up. Right, Vox replied, happy to see reason start to enter Valentino's mind. Do you want people thinking you can't control your employees? No, the moth-like sinner fired back, not wanting to be seen as a grubby little bitch. Exactly. And, hey, you still have him under contract, he isn't going anywhere. The media mogul explained. So you should. Valentino hesitantly answered his question. Do nothing. Great idea. Vox pulled the taller overlord into a one-armed hug before pinching his cheek. Now that's why they pay you the big bucks. Valentino scoffed angrily, frustrated that there wouldn't be any bloodshed today. Well, I really wanted to shoot someone. He grumbled, rolling his shoulders as a certain phantom pain lingered in the back of his mind. Things haven't been the same for me since, well, you know. The flat-faced overlord hummed in agreement as he understood the man's plight. Lighting his cigar with a spark from his finger, Vox walked away to a nearby desktop. Well, let me call up the lowest earners this month, he offered, knowing it would lift the tall-statured pimp's spirits. Ah, you know me too well. The porn demon cooed as he took a huff. Letting out a bale of red smoke, he looked over his shoulder as a thought had just occurred to him now that he'd calmed down. You know, Angel isn't the only one spending time at this ratty hotel with the devil's princessa. Oh, who else is there? Vox asked. Someone who owes you money. Laughing, Valentino answered his associate. Someone who owes us much more than money. He teased, knowing his next words would be enough to get under the CEO's skin. The radio demon is there. Vox glitched in a brief moment of shock as he clawed a deep gash into the desk. What did you just say? You heard me, Alistair. He began whilst stalking his way towards the moth-like sinner, came back. And as living with Lucifer's daughter. His tone of voice then started to change into a roar of anger as he once more grabbed the other man. And that wasn't the first fucking thing you told me. Hey, killing Alistair is your kink. The gaudy overlord teased as he uploaded a live feed onto one of the many computer screens for Vox to glare at. Sure enough, he could see the glitched yet unmistakable form of the one and only radio demon utilizing gigantic shadowy tentacles to lay waste to serpentious worship. Standing beside the red-clad overlord were Angel Dust, the Princess Charlotte, and an orange fox. The CEO of Vox Tech could see everything from the well-hidden voyeurscope hovering above the hotel. Unfortunately, his growing anger was starting to crease pressure into the suite and causing the lights in the tower to flicker that Velvet had to come in and see for herself. "Oi, Vox," she hollered, agitated at the amount of killing intent her associate was pumping out. "Could you turn that shit down? Some of those useless underlings of mine are starting to drop dead on the spot. How the fuck am I supposed to get this show done?" It was then that she finally saw what was angering the media mogul. "Oh, shit, isn't that the bloke that nearly kicked you that one time? Fuck you, just saying, things have changed a lot since he left town," Vox declared with a smile. "That's for sure," Valentino quipped. Eagerly, Vox marched off to his surveillance room full of intent. "I've gotta send a message of who's really in charge of things now." Valentino chuckled at seeing his friend walking out for a smear campaign, until he realized who that left him with. Nervously, he turned around to see none other than Velvet's irritated expression. "Ooh, fuck, I broke into your private stash, didn't I? No, you were as delicate as a feather. What the fuck do you think?" The short-stacked fashionista roared. "Do you know how long it took me to get those pieces fucking perfect? Months of hard work that your little temper tantrum just tore down to pieces." Jumping up, Velvet grabbed a hold of Valentino's neck as she proceeded to strangle the taller overlord. "You owe me for this, Valentino." Gah. The porn demon was eventually able to free himself from his female associate's vengeful grip. Gulping a deep breath of fresh air, he turned to look at her. "Shit. Damn it, Vel, I'm sorry. Look, I promise I'll pay for the next 3 fashion shows to make up for it, free of charge. 20, 3, 30, 5, 50, 10. Wait. No, deal. Fuck." Valentino didn't like to be cheated out of his own money, but in this case he really owed Velvet. "Speaking of, are you seriously trying to get his attention? Don't get me wrong, baby doll, but I still think you're wasting your time. Chasing Ninetails isn't worth it." "Ha." The small-statured overlord laughed off. This coming from the most sinner in hell. "Now I've heard anything. Listen to me, sweet cheeks." The moth-like sinner threw his arms up in the air as he sat back down on his love seat. "This isn't your run-of-the-mill sinner we're talking about. This is the same guy who massacred 200 exorcists in the first day he was here." Gesturing to himself, Valentino then added, "Or did you already forget what happened to me?" "Of course, I haven't." Velvet scoffed, scrolling on her hellphone. "But was it really a misunderstanding between you two, or the fact that you wanted to claim his soul?" "Okay. I walked right into that one," the taller overlord admitted. "Look, the point stands, baby. One doesn't simply approach that man without a valid reason." Taking a drag from his cigarette, Valentino continued, "If you try to get that close to Ninetails with any hidden agenda, he'll sniff you out and cut you down in a second. Understand?" "Oh, please, it's not the first time I've stared down danger, Valentino," the fashionista assured, right before Vox came dancing back into the parlor. "Hell's been better since he split. Where's he been? WHO gives a shit. Salutations. Good to be back on the air." Back at the hotel, Naruto was helping out with the repairs when he noticed that the power had just gone out throughout the entire city. Knowing what happened, the whiskered blonde chuckled to himself as he got back to clearing the rubble. Hey, say what you want about the guy, but he knows how to get under Vox's skin. Later that day, V Tower. Deep within the tower, the V's were currently gathered for a meeting in light of today's earlier revelations. It was a rather large conference room surrounded by a large fish tank, of which a pair of demonic sharks with cybernetic implants were swimming within. We have a problem, Vox started off from his spot at the head of the table. Velvet and Valentino were seated on either side of him tending to their own business, even as he spoke. Alistair is getting close to little Princess Morningstar, so our main concern now is ensuring that no deal is ever struck with Lucifer's brat. The CEO emphasized by slamming his fist on the table, and that smiling freak. Well, how exactly are we supposed to stop it? Velvet asked with a rather bored tone. She understood the need to keep their image, but Vox's rather one-sided rivalry with the radio demon was a tad bit obsessive. Valentino, on the other hand, was rather nonchalant about it. Put something inside them, the pimp demon remarked with a smile. That's how I get the bitches to behave. Thinking it over, Vox found himself agreeing with his associate's offhanded suggestion. Well, maybe someone on the inside isn't such a bad idea. He mused out loud before turning to the moth-like sinner. Do you think Angel would? Sigh. That lanky prick won't even return my calls. Feeling irritated, the TV demon got up from his seat and walked around the table. We need someone who Little Miss Bleeding Heart would take in. Velvet pondered for a moment before pointing out the details. Someone pathetic, desperate, with no direct ties to us. I employ every down on their luck loser on this side of hell, Valentino commented. Who the fuck is left? I think I have just the one, Vox stated, turning around with a smile on his face. That's great, Vox. Really? The porn demon waved his hand dismissively. So we can send him right the fuck over, while we deal with our other problem. The diminutive fashionista looked up from her phone, a look of intrigue on her face. What sort of problem? Sighing, Valentino rubbed his temples as he carefully thought his words through. Look, this is all just rumors, but, he began, from what I overheard, some of my whores saw the little princessa at the embassy with a pet fox beside her. Looked exactly like the one at the hotel from our drone feed. And this is important. How, exactly? Vox asked, rather annoyed. Oh ho, it's important, all right. Because the last time I saw one of those foxes, mine was getting handed to me on a fucking platter. That had gotten their attention. Vox even more so. Are you saying that there's a possible chance that Little Miss Sunshine and Rainbows is in some way connected to him? Well, it's possible, Velvet implied as she brought up the drone footage of the hotel from earlier before zooming in on the disguised fox. I'm not just a designer, Vox, I also do my research. Foxes, by nature, are rather crafty and downright vicious when backed into a corner. And Ninetails is no different. He killed 200 exorcists when he first appeared in hell. She remembered that day clearly, as did her two associates. So, if we're to keep our course for interfering with Alistair's twisted little game of his. She trailed off. Chances are it'll be a damned turf war on our hands. A big one. Vox could already see it happening, deep within his mind. He didn't like those odds. Perhaps I might have been too hasty, then. The leader of the V's admitted. Circling around the table, he sat back down as he continued muttering beneath his breath. Alistair won't even need to make a deal with Morningstar. The Angel's Bane alone is more than enough of a deterrent, assuming that he's even there. Folding his hands in front of his face, the CEO then pondered over his next move. All right, we can work with this. Oh, Christ on a fucking pike. You don't mean to piss him off, do you? Valentino exclaimed in shock. bringing up a projected footage of Naruto's battle from 10 years ago that claimed the lives of so many exorcists. Vox had to carefully observe every movement, every punch, every kick, every swipe of a weapon, before finally making his judgment. Turning to face Valentino, he gave out his orders. Gather up whatever dregs in this fucking city you could find wanting to fight for us, enough to field an army. I don't care if you have to bribe them or drug them, just get it done. Shifting his focus to Velvet, the CEO of Vox Tech didn't miss a single beat. Get your people working on some kind of mesh fabric that could be woven into clothing or some armor. If a turf war breaks out over this, and you're going to do, what, exactly? Velvet questioned with a raised eyebrow. To which her flat-faced associate replied, aside from getting our dim-witted agent inside the hotel, I'll be running logistics and sentries. Someone's got to keep our defenses up and running, might as well be the guy who already does it. Taking a sip of his drink, Vox zoomed in on Naruto's face before comparing it to the footage of the fox seated beside the princess. First Alistair, now you. Hey, it's just one fucking shitshow after another.